at this time. But in any case, since I'm totally alone now, I figure not really that risking that much. You know, it's kind of it's not that much fun anyway, being alone all the time without friends or companionship. And so I like bringing you information you've got to have, and the more people they killed to keep the story quiet, I say, all right, you sons of bitches, I'll come out with it. But I don't let anybody know what I'm going to say before I say it. Now, I want to say that because there's two good signs, things that have come up recently, amidst all the bad, of course. The big boys apparently have lost control. Something went awry, and they don't know where it's going. That's not necessarily good, but it certainly isn't that bad when you consider what they evidently have had planned for years. Although because they've kind of lost control, to make sure they can get control, they have told their congressional puppets, all but a handful, all the Congress and Senate, almost unanimously approved that U.S. soldiers, or of course anybody brought here and with all their family from Afghanistan or anything to do the dirty work of the CIA, itself formed entirely of Nazi spies, which is why Kennedy was going to shatter them into 1,000 pieces, as he said. That was while George Bush Sr. was not yet head of the CIA, but a big player. He arranged for the assassination of Kennedy and not to have the bulletproof dome on there. I actually met, by the way, with a fellow who came out of a manhole and shot Kennedy from the other side where pictures were being taken with a .45 automatic. Police found a .45 slug on the bumper of the Kennedy limousine. But anyway, we won't go into all that right now, but I figure, hey, no biggie. So I'll bring you what, it doesn't matter who threatens me or what. I just say, hey, make my day. Anyway, let me see, what have I got here?
What happened to me is I got...
Okay, this is something, I'll play that in a minute. Why don't you play a little bit from Linda Moulton Howe telling you about something?
So important to focus attention on what some legal scholars that I've talked to are saying to me, that they personally are very concerned about this NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, that was signed into United States law on New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2011, by President Barack Obama during his holiday vacation in Hawaii. And legal scholars not only do not think that the piece in here that I'm going to talk about was necessary, many of them have said to me they consider it dangerous, that this is a dangerous step for Congress to be fooling around with American civil liberties when it comes to the so-called war on terrorism. And in his signing statement that we didn't talk about quite as much last week, President Obama said that he was putting his signature to the NDAA a bit reluctantly, but because, quote, the act authorizes $662 billion in funding for the defense of the United States and its interests abroad, close quote. Further, the president wrote, quote, despite having serious reservations with certain provisions that regulate the detention, interrogation, and prosecution of suspected terrorists, I want to clarify that my administration will not authorize the indefinite military detention without trial of American citizens, close quote, which, George, when you take those words and you just turn around what he's saying, he's essentially affirming that this NDAA now makes it possible, and he's just saying that he as president in this administration will not do this. But it means that the law is hanging there over everyone's head now as a potential, and I would say a potential abuse. And that indefinite detention of suspected terrorists, American or foreign, in the United States territory under military authority are described under NDAA Subtitle D, Counterterrorism, Sections 1021 and 1022. And at earthfiles.com, I have scanned the first page of this bill. It's H.R. 1540. That is the NDAA, many, many pages. with this section, subtitle D, counterterrorism, that focuses on what the American Civil Liberties Union and editorials published in the New York Times and other media warned that these sections violated the United States Constitution and Bill of Rights. And U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont cautioned, quote, the legislation could also give future presidents the authority to throw American citizens into prison for life without charges or a trial. This bill also contains misguided provisions.
Or even letting the relatives know, or letting them talk to an attorney on an accusation from someone, anyone. I'm sure the arresting or kidnapping parties in the middle of the night. You know, the Germans, the Nazis, rather, not the German people weren't responsible as a whole, but the Nazis, of which the current Pope was one, also. In fact, John Paul II, God of this earth, according to Catholic kids raised to believe that from youth, was the scientist who developed cyanide gas for the Nazis. And of course, the Pope ahead of him, the Smiling Pope as he was called, died after just a very short time in office of poisoning. And then the poison specialist became God of the world. They've issued a mandate, word of mouth, mostly through the satanic element of the Catholic Church, that they're to use their jobs to set up and get rid of, hire as many Catholics as you can and get rid of as many non-Catholics, particularly Protestants, Protestants to Catholic tyranny. And it's not amazing that Satanism is rampant among the Catholic Church.